What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the very first video of my new series, How to Get Into Off-Road Racing 2025. If you've taken the plunge and you've gotten serious about getting into RC racing, one thing you can't afford to overlook is your Lipo batteries. In today's video, we have 6 critical steps to purchasing your first Lipo battery. Buckle up because the first part of this video is geared towards getting you all the information you need as quickly as possible. I will then circle back and go into things in a more granular fashion. First up is voltage or cell count. Typically has an S rating on the battery, so you will see 1S, 2S, 3S, 4S, etc. In off-road racing, typically we run a 2S battery pack for 10th scale racing and a 4S battery pack for 8th scale racing. So what does the S actually mean? So a 1S battery pack will be a single pack by itself, not wired in a series. It will run at 3.7 volts nominal. A 2S pack will have two 3.7 volt packs wired in a series and run at 7.4 volts nominal. So on and so forth. Next is going to be C rating or discharge rate. This tells you how fast the battery can safely deliver power. A 100C battery gives more punch off the line than a 50C will. I do have to put a disclaimer in here. C rating is one of those things that can be used to help sell batteries. In off-road racing, typically we look for 100C or above when purchasing a battery. However, some of the not so trusted companies out there have been caught heavily inflating their C ratings. So you do have to be very careful when purchasing. Try to stick to the more reputable brands. Number 3 is capacity. This is measured in milliamp hours or mAh. So the easiest way to explain milliamps or mAh rating of a battery is imagine the size of your fuel tank. The bigger the fuel tank, the larger the mAh rating is going to be. One thing to keep in consideration is the larger the milliamp rating, the heavier the battery pack is going to be. This will be important for racers that are trying to keep their cars or their vehicles on a diet. Internal resistance. This one's often overlooked. Lower resistance means your battery stays cooler and delivers power more efficiently. When racers start getting a little more serious, they'll use their charger to check their IR or internal resistance. If your brand new battery has sky-high internal resistance, you need to return it. It's either defective or a low-quality battery. Connection type. Your battery and your ESC, or electronic speed control, need to have a way to connect to each other. In the majority of racing, we typically use a 4, 5, or 6 millimeter bullet connector. Now, this isn't always the case. There are other connection methods that are pretty typical to be used. Those would include XT90, XT60, EC5, IC5, and in some 10th scale applications, a Dean's connector. As we move forward in connector technology, I see less and less of the Dean's connectors. This is important when purchasing a battery, especially if you don't have the necessary soldering skills. Either way, make sure you double check the connection type on the battery pack before you make your purchase. Number 6 is physical size of the actual battery. In most 10th scale racing classes, we typically use what's called a shorty pack. This is a bullet style connector short 2S battery pack. Now, the exception is going to be 2-wheel and 4-wheel drive short course truck. Some folks do wish to have a little bit bigger of a pack there as far as the milliamps, and the easiest way to do that is to get a larger size battery pack, not the shorty. Now, in 8th scale racing, we have a bit of a mix here. Most of the manufacturers use a 4S pack, a single pack, and that pack can vary in size greatly as far as length, height, and width. So it's very important here to grab a hold of your manual. If you don't have the manual, a physical copy, make sure you go to the manufacturer's website, and there you should find a downloadable copy of the instruction manual. And inside that manual, somewhere in the details, it's going to tell you the recommended size of the battery pack that you need for your vehicle. Additionally, some 8th scale buggies and truggies can be set up to run off of two 2S shorties or two 2S full-size stick packs. However, they are wired in a series to create one 4S battery. This would typically be done to keep center of gravity lower due to how low the height is on the 2S pack versus the 4S pack. Well, not too bad, a little over 6 minutes. You should have enough information at this point to go make your first Lipo battery purchase. However, don't forget that we have a little more in-depth of a talk getting ready to happen. But if you do need to be on your way, if you got anything out of today's video, please make sure you hit the like button. And if you're interested in learning more, make sure you hit that subscribe button to find your way back easily. Remember, this is the first in an entire series of videos that I'm producing. If you stuck around for the last part of the video, go ahead and give yourself a pat on the back because you're an overachiever. What we're really going to do here is just go through some basics of what didn't get explained about battery packs early on. Now let's dig in a little bit deeper, starting over in the beginning. In the first part of the video, you heard me use the word nominal. This is a pretty important word. When I do the charging video, I will go way further in depth in this, but for now, let's explain what nominal is. Nominal is the resting state of the battery. A 1-cell battery at nominal voltage would be exactly 3.7 volts. This is not charged, nor is it discharged. This is its resting state or storage state. Typical voltage range for a 1-cell battery is going to be 4.2 volts fully charged, all the way down to 3 to 3.2 volts at fully discharged. There are some folks out there that won't even bring them this low. They will tell you 3.3, 3.4 volts. Everybody's a little bit different. Here's a little bit of a tip to get more life out of your Lipo battery. At the end of the day, after you've gotten on every single podium that was available, make sure that you're going home and storage charging all of your battery packs. This will significantly extend the life of the battery. Not only that, but a discharged battery is not in a stable state. Also, a fully charged battery is not in a stable state. Storing batteries in either of those positions can actually be dangerous and can lead to lipo fires. This is going to lead me to tip number 2. Do not store your lipos in anything other than a metal container. I personally use a steel toolbox that I purchased from Walmart. It has slide-out trays in it, and it was roughly $25. And if possible, try to store your Lipo batteries outside or in a garage. Storage charging your batteries can be an absolute pain in the butt, especially when you're tired from racing all day. However, having a house that has burned down can also be a pain in the butt. And believe me, it does happen. So we're going to do a 1S pack here. We have a positive and a negative, and this is 3.7 volts. And then so in order to make a 2S pack, we would need 2 cells. And we've got negative, positive, negative, positive. And what we're going to do is we're going to run the 2 cells in series. So we're going to connect positive to negative, and then these are going to be our 2 leads that go out to the power connector on the battery. I know that this is crude, but it's the easiest way to explain it. So when you run batteries in a series, you double the output voltage. So this will equal 7.4. And the MAH stays the same. So if these were, let's say that these were 4,000 MAH cells, then we are going to stay at 2S. This is now a 2S because we have two cells. So the S stands for series, wired together, that are creating 7.4 volts at 4,000 milliamp. This is actually supposed to be an H, mAh. So again, if we were here, this is a 1S battery pack, 3.7 at 4,000 milliamps. Okay, so we're going to show the two different types of wiring that we do in batteries. And this, it seems like it might not be important, but it is important to understand when we get to the charging video. So we're just going to do a two-cell setup here. And I've already shown you what it's like to wire in a series. And let's say that these are 4,000. If we run in a parallel, then both of your positives connect to each other and both of your negatives connect to each other. And then you can run off of one single side. So parallel is negative to negative, positive to positive. We are using 4,000 milliamp cells, so we are not going to go up in voltage. This will be a 3.7 volt pack. It will still be considered one cell. However, the milliamp will double. So this is now an 8,000 milliamp pack. And again, to go back to this very same thing in a series, and how most 2S packs and 4S packs and anything except for an odd number is going to be wired, is you're going to have one set of parallel, and then we're going to take these two packs and we're going to make them into basically one parallel 8,000 milliamp. So these would basically kind of be glued together. I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. And then you get another one. So we now have two of these at 3.7 volts. And then we run these in a series. So you got negative, positive, and so we connect the negative to the positive, and these go out to the power lead. And we are at our magical 2S, so 2 cell at 7.4 volts, okay? Now, since we went series here, so we only double the milliamps when we're wiring in parallel, we're still at an 8,000 milliamp pack. That's going to be it for this one. If you guys have any questions, hit me up in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video or if you learned something new today, a like and a subscribe is always appreciated. If not, that's okay too. Hopefully I can earn your subscription on the next video.